Well, we could have started on time, but Cody and I were having an in-depth conversation without you. I'm sorry. I don't mean to neglect you. We're happy you're here. Welcome to another Realities May Vary. And by realities, I mean, again, the lineup is varied. It is Cody is here. Wow, you're all jazzed up. You're
That's
just
me.
pantomiming tonight. Is that your thing? You're just going to do the crazy disco stew moves?
Give a little bonus to the viewer on top of the
That's
listener,
true.
You know?
That's true. If you watch this on YouTube and Facebook as we do it live, you get some visual fun. I got rid of the green screen this week. We're back to the off. I didn't get rid of the green screen. It's just now you get to see the office, which kind of looks like it could be a green screen. Who knows?
The green screen, which none of us commented on.
No, nobody did. It's like, Brian's in the belly of Shrek. What's going on there? Who knows? Who cares, really? It didn't matter. Did you have a good week? What's going on with you? What big? I was thinking of you yesterday as I was cutting the grass, and I used my cool lawn bag chute that I was trying to get you to convince you to get last week. It is, oh man, lifesaver. Did you do anything fun? Did you go anywhere? Did you have a party? Did you, your son do anything? Did he learn to code? He's almost a year old. What's he doing? Just laying around?
Sure. Him, I don't know. He's crawling around a lot. I did have a party. Big news at the Gough household. Yeah. I think I alluded I alluded to it.
You did. You said you asked last week if I was free on Saturday.
I knew you had a show. How did it go?
Have a show. Oh, it was fantastic as always. I was accused by my producer of being feisty in the second hour because I wasn't going to put up with any disinformation. Some cranky caller called in, and he's one of those guys. Well, you were a producer for a long time, so you're used to this. They call and you answer the phone. You go, "Oh, what do you want to talk to Brian about?" And they tell you something, and then they get on the air and it's completely the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of these old men who was going to filibuster. He was not going to let me get a word in edgewise because he started up about, I forget. It was something we were talking about the no mask thing and the CDC guidelines and the vaccine and all this stuff, which I know is a hot button issue with some people. And we got into it here last week.
Mm-hmm.
So we won't rehash all that. But I was basically, I forget why we started out, what I was exactly talking about at this particular point. But he was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to get it. The government's got to keep their hands off my body, and this vaccine wasn't tested, and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Okay, that's it. Dump this guy." And I rarely dump people, but I said, I'm not going to sit here and let people spread disinformation, especially when they're not going to have a conversation. This guy had an agenda. He was just going to go and say whatever he wanted. And so that was it. So and then I went off on something else. There was a lot of stupidity last week that I just felt the need to address. And so as I did address it, my producer, Evan, was like, "Well, you're feeling a little feisty this week." And I said, "No, well, I didn't come into the show feisty. I came into the show in a great mood. I just, as I went back over the things that I had decided I was going to talk about, I was getting worked up. Almost as worked up as I'm getting now because Cody has disappeared. He's back. Here we go. What happened to you? Where'd you go?
I don't know,
your VPN kicked in?
That didn't work. Yep, there it is. I literally just re-authenticated like an hour ago. It doesn't matter. So you got rid of the guy and then
rid of the guy. And then I forget, I was just telling everybody that there was just a lot of stories that were very stupid that just had me worked up. Let me say, I've got my rundown here. As you can imagine, Cody, I still keep all my rundowns on legal pads. I have every legal pad that I've ever, or every sheet that I've ever done. I was talking about Target stopping selling trading cards, Pokemon cards, and sports cards because people were doing that. Talking about the Starbucks customer the guy who ordered that 13 item thing that went viral a couple weeks ago. Well, he came out and had identified himself the other day. And then he was saying that, I would keep ordering those drinks again. So as you can imagine, I went off on him a little bit. I was talking, the guy called because I was talking about people who didn't want to stop wearing masks yet. And he was not having any of that. So I was revved up. But as I said to my producer, Evan, up there, I came into the show in a great mood. It's just as I go back along things that I've decided to talk about, I get a little, sometimes I get a little antsy. I get a little peeved. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't understand why would he, like, you just dumped the call, right? And then did you just say that everything he said was crap and then you just moved on?
Yeah. I mean, I did. I might have thrown in the mocking his keep your hands off my government, keep your hands off my body. I said, yeah, unless you're a woman and then you can tell us all about our healthcare needs. So I threw that in a little bit. And then I went off on him and I was just like, and then my producer out there was like, yeah, I figured you'd just go off on him. He goes, but you kind of just did. So I guess you did. I was like, yeah, because this guy was not going to have a conversation. This guy had an agenda, and you've taken calls from those people a lot. Like the one guy who showed up in the lobby. Yeah,
it's a thing that people do. It's a thing people do. Usually I would get a funny look from you or a very not funny look whatsoever. And then we'd have to wait for the break. And then I'd just be like, dude, that's not the show that I heard. It's not the show. The pre-show that I heard is different than the show that happened. So,
It is. And unfortunately, the producers take the heat for that at first because I'm like, and I think every host is the same. It's like, why are you putting this guy out? What are you trying to do to me? Christine and Cindy, thank you. We appreciate that. I appreciate the comments about Saturday's show. They were listening, and Christine said I didn't take any crap. I don't, Christine. I don't have time for that. Cody, you know me. I'm too old and crotchety. I don't take any. I got no time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that, as the woman in the viral video once said.
That is what the woman in the viral video once said. Yeah, I don't like misinformation. If somebody says something wrong, I'm gonna correct it. So
no, especially with this, I'm not going to do it. So anyway, what kind of party did you have? Did you have a big toga party? Was it a Roman orgy? What'd you have?
It's at a barbecue.
Oh,
nice. I took the day off Friday actually to get our house in order because I hadn't mown the back lawn all year. Yeah, the best. So I've got
it's late May. It's time to do that.
It is. Well, I've got an electric mower, right? And before winter, I only had one battery, and that was enough to do either the front or the back. So last time I mowed the lawn in October or something, I mowed the front, brought it into charge, just didn't get around to the back. So it was already a little, it wasn't bad, but it was like a week or two of growth, let's say. And same thing happened 2 weeks ago. First time I mowed for the season, mowed the front, and at that point, I knew the back would take more than one charge because at that point the grass was already extra long.
And it's a pretty big backyard, to be honest.
Backyard, yeah. And I do have an extra battery now. So like now I could probably do, on one charge, I could probably do the front and the back if I go pretty quick on one charge. But yeah, it was anyway. So I mowed like a foot of grass Friday. I got a string trimmer. I never used one of those. Have you used one?
Yeah, I told you, I've got a beautiful battery operated one. I love it.
Freaking weird. They're weird. It's a rope. It's just a rope that
it's like fishing line. It's like plastic fishing line. It spins really fast and it cuts down everything in its path. It's brutal, it'll throw rocks too. Be careful.
Yeah. Dude, it's good. I mean, my yard looks legit. I mean, everyone gave me a compliment. But yeah, so I'm cleaning the house all day Friday, Saturday, getting the yard ready and stuff. So yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, this was our big. It wasn't our housewarming party because on one hand, it's like, well, yeah, it's the housewarming party, but I didn't invite everyone I knew,
right?
Because there still was. This was before the mask mandate. Remember that happened Monday, right? That happened yesterday, I think. So it must have been yesterday. Because it wasn't Saturday. So Saturday, pre-Saturday, I'm planning this, and it's like, well, I can't invite like 30 to 40 people that I know because CDC won't tell me what a small or a medium gathering is. We're just gonna guess. but I'm guessing 30 to 40 is maybe cutting it into the medium area there, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good guess. That would be a fair estimate.
Right. So I'm like, all right, so I'll pick a handful of friend groups and I'll have like a couple of housewarming parties. And so this was like housewarming party part 1. So, once Craig's moved in, it'll be great. So you and Craig will be part 2, whatever cohort that is, right?
Boy, I like that we're part of a cohort. That makes us sound so formal and educated.
And there's actually people who came Saturday that I wanted to wait till later in the summer to invite because I want more stuff done to the house because I'm always doing stuff to the house.
Sure.
Right. So I'm excited that you and Craig are coming to the next one because then I'll have more of my stuff together. So, but there were a couple of people that are like moving out of town or they're traveling a lot. So I'm just like, I got to have them. They won't be able to see my finished product. But it's a house. You never get to the finished product, right?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think you ever do. And quite frankly, at this point, people are so happy to see their friends again. They weren't going to critique your house in the first place because they're your friends. And secondly, they're just so happy to be out. It's like, we're out. It's so much fun.
I will say it was joyous.
I can only imagine.
Like it really and I think I mentioned this. I might have mentioned this to, I don't know if it was on or off the air, but I created a little event description and I sent it to the people I invited. And it was like, my wife made fun of me because it was like 6 paragraphs explaining how we're going to be safe.
Oh, God.
And she looked at it. She's like, you didn't even mention we have beer. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. That's fair. No, but like, if you're going to a party, you want to know, like, well, how many people are going? Are people vaccinated? Is it safe? Do I wear a mask? Is there touching? Like, there are a lot of questions that are not automatically assumed anymore. So I just addressed them. And I think I did a good job. I was like, hey, look, I'm inviting a bunch of people. Everyone's got vaccines. CDC says as long as everyone or almost everyone is vaccinated, because they do allow on their thing. Yeah. They say,
well, now it's so funny that we had these big arguments about this last week and now everything has changed. It's basically, if you're vaccinated, you can pretty much do whatever the hell you want. And it's the people who aren't vaccinated that have to worry about it, because now they're even saying that even if, say you're vaccinated and you still have it, the chances that you can even spread it are so minimal. So basically it's a get out of jail free card, even though, I'm still all for places saying, hey, you got to wear a mask in our establishment. Cool. I'm good with that. I'm not going to be Ricky Schroeder, start screaming at people. But yeah, now at this point, I don't know. Debbie is still not, let's eat inside yet. I don't think. She's edging a little closer. But now, like outdoor stuff, forget about, except Lollapalooza. I'm not going to go stand with 100,000 people at Lollapalooza.
You wouldn't have done that anyway.
Correct. So I'm fair. But now it's not that I don't know any of the bands. Now it's, listen, it's not COVID safe for me as a guy I know people with underlying conditions. I could use all those excuses.
But you also still don't know any of the bands.
I haven't, to be fair to me, the lineup comes out tomorrow.
Oh, does it?
Yes. So I may know 2 bands. If we were if we were in Vegas and we set the line at 4, where I would have to name a song from 4 bands, I would probably bet the under.
Well, I'm sure they'll announce either Flogging Molly or Dropkick Murphys, because they always do.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
A lot of bands a lot of bands still canceling their stuff for the summer.
Dude, today Guns N' Roses announced they are gonna play a summer fest.
Ooh,
yeah,
really?
In Milwaukee, yeah. Closing weekend, yeah.
That's new, because the Motley Crue is canceling their 2021 tour. So maybe GNR is gonna picking up the slack.
I haven't heard about GNR in Wrigley Field in July. Still got tickets. They better tell me soon if I got to cancel, because I'm waiting.
What's the date?
Second or third week in July.
Okay, good.
But I got to take time off work, and I'm waiting to see, because I don't want to request 3 days, because I'm going to request like half a week off. What's on a Wednesday?
You go to one concert?
Well, it's on a Wednesday. I don't want to work 10 hours Wednesday and then go to a concert. They'll be tired.
No, so you got to take Wednesday and Thursday off.
Exactly.
Wednesday, then who goes
Thursday.
back to work on a Friday?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I gotcha.
And I got some extra time off anyway, because I still got a couple paternity leave days that rolled over. So I'm taking for a whole week. Why not? Anyway.
All right. So so your party, you had beer at the party. You told everybody they were going to be safe. Did you cook on that big giant grill you bought last year?
Oh my God. I cooked on my Weber grill after Friday, spending 3 hours cleaning it because I had never cleaned my grill. Now I'd used the wire brush on the,
Sure.
Yeah. I'm not a total, noob, but, dude, every time I fired it up the last 3 times, there'd end up being a big fire. Just grease on everything. Just grease on everything.
Good Lord, what are you cooking in there?
Dude, I don't
Just
know.
bacon?
I don't know. It was rough. It was rough. So, I did grill, but I had to do a deep clean, and that was pretty intense.
Okay.
But yeah, no. And I told everybody in the event invite, I'm like, hey, look, I'm not going to wear masks. I'm not requiring masks. If you want to wear a mask, go for it. All good. All you do whatever feels comfortable. And no one wore a mask, and it was great. But it was just like everyone gave me a hug when they got to my place. You know, it wasn't like, oh, what do we do? It was just like, I'm so happy to see you. We're vaccinated. We're safe. I'm going to touch you. It's going to be great. And everybody hugged.
I mean, those kind of hugs are usually pretty brief. You're not hugging and longingly looking at each other's faces and droplets are flying out. I don't know. Well, maybe you are. I don't.
Oh, no,
that's
I kissed
not how
everybody
I hug
that
friends.
came with tongue. I kissed everybody with tongue. Yeah, everybody that came. Guys, girls.
Very European.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is very European.
It was a French barbecue. I barbecued croissants. Montesquieu was actually the co-host.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I'm sorry I missed it. Well, I'm looking forward to whatever happens in the cohort that I am invited to.
Well, that's why you weren't invited.
What, are we going to have sushi and then Emperor Finahito is going to be there?
Oh, that would be good.
And then the whole party gets canceled. Everything's awful. Now, did you go canned and bottled beer or did you go a keg?
Nah, I've never had a keg at a party.
You've never had a keg at a party?
No, I guess I could. No, I just stocked my beer fridge, which we got to settle down with the beer fridge. I like it being fully stocked at all times, but we had too many options.
Oh, that's problematic.
We had a variety of my wife got a variety pack of, I don't even know, something. So, it's 4 different beers, 3 bottles each, 15 pack of Shock Top. Shock Top, highly popular. I wouldn't have thought. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought Shock Top. I don't think of Shock Top when I go.
I don't either. I haven't had it in ages. Eons.
It's great, really good, really good Belgian white.
Did you get any of your crazy natty bunko beer or whatever it is?
I had a drawer full of Natter Day. That's been there since last summer. It doesn't age very well, by the way.
All right, good to know. For those of you who might be thinking of investing in a half barrel of Natter Day and saving it.
The new necessity at parties is you got to have LaCroix.
Really?
It's a thing. It's legit a thing because sometimes people don't drink and there is a 100% chance they drink LaCroix. 100% chance.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to have a certain flavor?
I think the Pamper Grand Nickel Pimper Pooper is the popular one.
Wow, that sounds like a bad bread starter.
And yet, yeasty.
Really? That does not surprise me. Does not surprise me.
Is that the one? It's the yellow one. It's like the yellow one that's not a real flavor.
I don't drink. You know what happens when I want to drink water? I just drink water.
You drink water.
I drink water. Straight up American water. No bubbles, no fizz, no can, no nothing. I just, maybe a bottle of water, but it's flat and normally not chilled. Just warm, flat water. That's what I enjoy.
I'm the same as you, dude. I don't do sparkling water.
What are you drinking there? You got something fancy there?
I just got a 312.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Everybody loves a good Goose 312.
Yeah.
It's classic.
Everyone loves LaCroix. I'm telling you, if you're watching or listening to this, if you have a party this summer, in addition to the beer run, get a couple 12 packs of LaCroix. The other thing is, if people haven't partied in a while, they're lightweights. Maybe they're not quite used to having so much beer. After a couple, if they start to feel it, then they can grab a LaCroix and pound that, and then they got something to drink. You got to have LaCroix.
Did you have to have any of those hard seltzers? Did you have any White Claw? Was there law at your party?
Some people brought White Claw. We had some off-brand White Claw that we bought like when we moved into the house, but no one drank it. So, but
okay, good.
Yeah, people had some White Claws.
All right. Listen, I don't know. How'd you do? This is the biggest problem. And I'm running into this now because I have been tasked with beer for an event later in the summer, trying to figure out how much to get. You know, when we used to have parties, a lot of times we would get a keg. And normally that keg was drained because, there's a lot of issues in the family and friends. We all had, as my mom used to tell us, it's in the genes. Mm-hmm. So, but then, people grew up and had kids and they weren't drinking as much. So the kegs were not purchased for parties. But then you're always worried, about running out. But then like with a keg, if you didn't drink it all, then it felt like a waste. Because then you're either returning a keg that's a quarter full, or you got to just pour it out, or you're trying to drink a ton over the next couple days because I don't want to waste it. So yeah, I don't know what to do. It's always troublesome for a party because you don't want to run out, and you don't. Because some people will, like a small house party, some people will bring beer anyway. Just as hey, I brought some beer to your barbecue, which is a cool thing to do.
We told people specifically in the invite, we're going to have a ton of beer and burgers and brats and buns. Bring side dishes and desserts.
Oh, nice. Okay.
People were excellent about it. People brought salads. One of my friends brought this delicious cauliflower salad that was cauliflower and garbanzo beans or something. It was so good. My wife got the recipe. Good. It was great, dude. Somebody brought Greek salad. Somebody baked some like strawberry shortcake. It was good. So
nice.
For 50, we expected between 15 and 20 people, depending on like plus ones. But 15, 20 people. We had 80 beers.
Okay.
So we figured 4 per person. That's fine.
Yeah, well, the next cohort, you might want to up the ante a little bit.
We still had some left over because a couple people brought a little bit, but I think 4 per person. 4 beers per person. Put in the chat how many beers per person you think that there should be.
And then remember who's coming to the party. But no, when our cohort comes, I got a couple of those bourbon counties I got to bring. But anyway, that sounds like fun, and everybody had a good time. Did it rage late into the night, or now that you're getting older and you have a child and your friends are older, did it stop? Were there board games? Did anybody put on a cloak? I can only imagine what your neighbors thought when you had a big lightsaber fight in the backyard.
Lightsaber fight was pretty key. Now people stayed surprisingly late. We started around 5 or 6 because we're out, and a lot of people came from the city. Not all of them have cars. I didn't know how they'd even get here. I'm just like, start 5 or 6. Just say a few hours. You can leave 9 or 10, and you can get home if you did. People stayed till probably 10:30, 11. I'd say.
Well, that's nice.
Pretty good.
That's a good time. It's not too late, but it's not.
We have to get up in the morning, so I'm going to leave at 8:45.
It was all. I cannot wait to have you out here. And have more people. Like it was a nice test.
That's a good amount though. That's not an unwieldy amount, but it's not too small where if there's some people who don't want to talk, all of a sudden it's a weird thing. That's a nice size group that you had there. Gene says we should cook shrimp in the leftover beer. It's yummy. I think shrimp in anything is yummy, and I think beer is yummy. So the combination of the two seemed fantastic to me.
Apparently in the New Belgium variety pack we got, there was a watermelon beer.
Ooh.
I would not recommend.
No,
I like New Belgium, but
okay. I'm finding as I'm looking at different breweries, because this Saturday we're gonna hit a brewery. We didn't go. Molly chided us.
You go to breweries every weekend,
and we really don't. Last weekend we didn't go to a brewery, but we were gonna meet. We might go this weekend. And I'm seeing everybody coming out with a lot of gozas and a lot of like blue. When Summerly came out a few years ago, they were really the only raspberry beer. Now everybody's got raspberry beer. I saw one the other day. What are those blue like Sour Patch? I saw somebody making a blue sour beer. There's crazy. I'm like, as I'm looking at some of the menus, I'm like, I'm fairly adventurous and I will try a lot of things, but I also know certain styles I don't like. And it's like, oh my God, everybody's lost their mind. They're going crazy. It is Illinois Craft Beer Week. I don't know if you know that, Cody.
I did not.
How do you not know that? Come on. It's
I'm out
Illinois
of
Craft
touch.
Beer Week. Big scandal rocking the craft beer industry. An article came out about all the sexism and mistreatment of women in the craft beer industry, and it's striking a chord among the Chicago women in beer, which it should. So oh man, across the nation, big trouble. Big trouble for misogynistic asshats who are in brewing.
Were specific breweries called out? Because I remember like the head brewer at Gough, or the head recipe person for the proprietor's blend, was a woman.
Yes. She came up with one of the brewers who came up with proprietors this year, and another one this year. There's a lot of women in brewing, whether
really
it's manufacturing or running the breweries or whatever. So yeah, it's a shame that they're still having to go through this, and a lot of it is not only men in the industry, but male customers as well, who don't.
The little lady doesn't know much about beer, does she? Why don't you go find me a feller to talk to? He can tell me about a juicy IPA. I don't want to listen to a dame.
Stupid. Lame people.
It is lame. It's completely lame. So that's a lot going on there. But yeah, it's Illinois Craft Beer Week. So I will go somewhere and have some Illinois craft beer this weekend.
Nice.
I think we're going to try. I'm looking for a lot of places now with the big beer gardens opening up.
Well, wait. So what were you chastised for?
Oh, because Molly said we go to breweries every weekend.
Oh, that was the
chastisement. Yeah, and I'm like, so what? So what? We go once. If we go one day on a weekend for a couple hours, have a couple beers. So what? It's not like we're getting hammered and driving around and doing stupid stuff. That's what we like to do. It's nice to sit outside and have a beer and try a new place, and try a new place with that has food and make a little afternoon of it.
Wait, speaking of beer, to light up this week, to toke it.
Nope, not yet.
No
not
fat
yet.
Lifts. All right, we need an update at the start of every episode. Near the start of every epised.
I brought it up again. I brought it up again to the wife tonight, because I was in the refrigerator getting a battery, and I found this salted caramel edible that I think's been in there since Thanksgiving. And I said, hey, we should do this edible. And she said, what edible? I go, this salted caramel edible. Oh no, I don't know. So the more game I see, the more game I become, the less Debbie wants to do it. And she's the one who brought it up. So I don't know, like, at first she wasn't going to do it because she thought I'd laugh at her and give her a hard time. Now it seems she doesn't want to do it because all of a sudden, I want to fire up some Bob Marley and get a spliff rolling, just chillax.
Yeah, spliff action.
So I don't know I will keep you updated. Every week we'll have the marijuana update.
The MJ update. I got to plug in my battery, so I got to bend down for a second, but I'm still here. It's just under this.
What kind of battery do you have to plug in? This is interesting. All my stuff here runs on electricity because I'm not Amish. I'm also, trying to stay attuned to the 22nd century. So everything there. You both your sound is breaking up. Cindy, what? How can that possibly be?
How can that possibly be? Well,
I don't know. It sounds
I left the thing, and also where'd my video go?
Wow, you're gone completely. All I see is I see a bullet hole with a CG in it.
Yeah, me too. What can you see? You can see me, or you can.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
How about that? I didn't like
now
that.
I see your feet. Wow, easy.
That's really weird and gross, and I hate it, and I don't know why that happened.
Yeah, what's that weird piece of carpet you're standing on? A remnant? Is it a remnant? I'm seeing I'm seeing from your knees to the floor.
No, I see that, but it's just saying that it doesn't know. Hold on.
Something odd's going on now. This crazy talk. Go to New Glarus. Oh man, I love Sally. I love New Glarus. That's actually one of the day trips that we're planning for the summer. We went up there couple years ago. We were supposed to go back last summer. They have a new beer, blues and barbecue festival up there in New Glarus. And we had our tickets and everything last year, and then obviously the world happened and we couldn't go. So I love New Glarus. The town and the brewery itself. If you're ever looking to go, there's a lot of great breweries in Illinois. You know that. I'm a big proponent. I'm not dissing anybody here. But if you want to take like a trip and you want to go out into the middle of the country, it's beautiful up in New Glarus, Wisconsin. And the brewery, if you haven't been there in the last few years, the brewery is now just south of town, and it's up on a hill, and there's hiking paths in there. It's gorgeous. And they have a lot of outdoor seating, and they have a lot of places to get beer, so you're not standing in line. The tour is really fun. So yeah, it's terrific. Take a trip over the border, bring Spotted Cow to Iowa. That's what she does. UT is a well-loved beer. Spotted Cow is good. They have a lot of good beers. New Glarus does. That's a fun trip up there.
I haven't gone. I'll have to check it out. I'm going to Minneapolis over Memorial Day weekend. So
are you really?
To get Twin Cities brewers.
Oh my gosh, we had a guy on who was a friend of Jesse and John's. That's who you reach out to. Reach out to Jesse and John. And our good friend Jesse, who left and moved to Nashville, is now back in the beer game. I talked to him, or I texted with him the other day. He's moving to Louisville, and he's joining a brewery down there in Louisville.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah. And John, of course, is still working for Revolution and doing his Crust Fund pizza. So there's a lot going on. A lot of beer guys.
That's great, dude. Yeah, I'm stuff. I still got a couple stouts I'm saving for when you come over. That's not for a party. That's for a
private private taste.
Private taste.
Cigars and a private tasting.
Have you been in a lot of group social events live in person? Like none really at all. Well, but you host.
No, I've been out. Yeah. But it's not with other than Debbie and CB, one of the Insomniacs, and Molly. That's it.
I got to tell you, dude, hosting a party, there were moments where I was just like, I just had to take a second. I'm just like, dude, how did anyone ever do this?
It's hard.
The cognitive, the lack of practice that we've had over the last year, it was insane. There were times, it's not that I couldn't think of anything to say, right? It wasn't an awkward, well, what do we talk about now? Not that kind of thing. It was just this soreness in the brain, this aching feeling of just wow, I'm working this really hard right now. It's because, I don't know if you know this, my sister is having her wedding. She postponed her wedding from the pandemic, but they got married anyway. So she's doing kind of a renewal of vowels party, celebration.
Did you say a renewal of vowels?
A renewal of vowels, yeah. A-E-I-O-U. There's an A in her name. There's two A's in her name.
I was just checking. I wanted to make sure I didn't mishear you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Actually, she has every vowel. In her first and second, and in her first, middle, and last name, she has every vowel. That's pretty cool. She has A-E-I-O and U. Not Y.
Are you taking her middle name in?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I know her first and her last name, and there's no E in there.
Her middle name has an E and an I. So
fantastico.
No, there's no ah. Ah isn't actually a vowel, Brian.
No, ah is a diphthong.
Ooh,
I think.
Are we allowed to talk about that? Or
I was teaching vowel teams today in first grade phonics, so I'm all about the phonics.
Team vowels.
And all about the bass.
Well, I told her, I was like, dude, you better have some small parties before your wedding, because if not, you're going to get to your wedding day and you're not going to know how to talk to anybody because it's going to be overwhelming. So, hey, look, if you're watching this and you're going to a wedding this summer, or you're having a wedding or any kind of warm up, have some small gatherings, get back in the flow, because it's a muscle. If you don't exercise it, you'll die.
Well, and I hated small talk prior to the pandemic. So now that I haven't had to make small talk in 14 months, I really don't want to get into it.
Well,
I don't want anything to do with small talk.
Then exclusively hang out with Craig, who refuses to small talk, which is why I like him.
He refuses to small talk. You refuse to small talk on text. You guys are perfect for me, because once we're done with this, the conversation is almost non-existent. It's perfect. If we're not doing the show, there's conversation, but it's minimal. It's like need to know. It's like we're all, top secret agents for the CIA. We only share the information that absolutely has to be shared, and then we move on with our day, or we have another beer, or whatever it is. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. But I know what you mean. Was it SNL did a sketch the other night with people who were now out because the mask mandate is gone, right? So they're all out at a bar, or they were at a party. They were at a small party at somebody's house. And all the time. No, not the other night. The other night was Keegan-Michael Key.
This is like a new one.
It's brand new. It was the final episode of the season. And it came right after they announced that the mask mandate was over. And so they were all at the bar, or at the party rather, and everybody's conversation was like, "So, how's your pandemic?" "Oh yeah, it's weird." And then you'd hear everybody's thoughts like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm in this conversation. Is this really what it's come to, that we're talking about this?" So
that was from the Elon Musk.
Are you sure?
100% sure, because I didn't see the Keegan one. And you TiVo'd the Elon one, so you watched it later.
I watched it later, and then I just watched the Keegan one on, was it Sunday, maybe? Sunday.
Saturday Night Live generally airs on Saturdays.
Correct, but I don't watch it on Saturday. I'm not a slave to the man. I don't live with my boot, or with my neck under the boot of network television. That's why God and Jesus and some technological wizard invented the DVR. So I digitally video record all my programs.
Okay.
And I do not watch. I don't really watch anything live. I try not to watch anything live. Sports, if I watch sports, maybe an award show for about 15 minutes till I realize it's horrible, and then I move on. But yeah, no network television, no program like that live. No.
All right.
Even nothing that no HBO shows, nothing. I don't watch any of it live.
Did you watch John Oliver Sunday?
Of course I did. About the guns.
I didn't actually watch that part.
Okay. What part did you watch? So I watched the entire thing. Yes, I watched the entire John Oliver. We record it on Sunday, and then we watch it during dinner on Monday. That's our routine.
I watched the opening of the show.
Okay.
When you talked about
you know what? I was watching that and I realized I know nothing about the Middle East. I mean, I have a very cursory knowledge of the Middle East, but I know that the history of it is so deep and there's so many avenues to take. I don't know anything about it. And I know no matter what side you would say that you supported, there are going to be a ton of people who disagree. And they might even have really good reasons to disagree, but I don't know them. I was very swayed by what John Oliver was saying. It made sense to me, but as I'm watching it going, this makes a lot of sense. I was also thinking, there's probably a lot of stuff on the other side that would make sense too. Because when it was over, I agreed with him, you know. But then I'm like, well, maybe I probably should come out, because if you didn't see it, he came out basically saying that Israel, when they say that things are even and it's a tit for tat war, which was a quote from a news source, that it's really not, because Israel has unbelievable amount of defense and unbelievable amount of firepower. And that Hamas, while wrong, does not represent every Palestinian. And then he laid out all these, about all these kids and everybody being killed. And it was, and he did say both sides were equally wrong, but
equally.
Well, he said both sides were wrong, that it was tragic on both sides, and that, all of that. His point that Hamas did not represent all Palestinians was very cogent and made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't know, man. I see people arguing about this all the time, and I'm like, I don't know enough about it to really get into it. Since you brought it up, what do you think? Well, I take a sip of tequila and try to figure out what road we're going down tonight.
Well, I was interested in it prior to even knowing that John Oliver talked about it, because one of my favorite podcasts is a media criticism podcast called Citations Needed, where they talk about the way that the media talks about stuff. Hence a media criticism podcast. And they talked about some of the common arguments that people will say, like in defense of Israel, and why they're like kind of bunk. And so all of them made sense to me. Stuff like saying like, well, if you don't support Israel, you're saying that Israel doesn't have a right to exist. And like, they don't.
That seems,
no one has
like a lot.
And like, what if I walked up to a Native American and I was like, do you think America doesn't have a right to exist? Like, countries are just made up things where people in power like win, right? Like, no, they don't have, no one has a right to, it's a dumb argument that's not real. Like, we don't have a right to exist. The UK doesn't have a right to exist. Like, Russia doesn't have a right to exist. Like, countries are made up things that people have, right? Like, I don't think that a country has a right to exist. I think a country exists, but it's not like an infallible God-given right that like the United States of America, like God says you can do that. Like, no, it's like, whatever. Like, it's just a dumb argument that doesn't really hold any water whatsoever. Especially like if you talk about any land that like primarily came from killing people, which America is, right? We came and killed a bunch of Native Americans and brought over a bunch of slaves. Like, we don't really have a very nice like history, right? Like, so it's a dumb argument that doesn't really hold any water whatsoever, I don't think. So stuff like that, I don't know. From what it seems to me, it's like kind of just not a good situation. And I would just say that, yeah, I think that it's funny that like, you remember the protest last summer with the George Floyd stuff?
No, not at
Me
all.
neither.
Of course I do. Yes. Who does?
Right.
Who doesn't remember the summer of turmoil?
It's like, you remember
Well-deserved turmoil.
Right. Well, right. There's some turmoil because people are taking to the streets, and like some people will be like, well, these people, some people are just, they're getting in the streets and they're being violent. They should be doing other things like voting or, like going to court or, like calling the cops or whatever. And it's like the only reason they're in the streets is because those other things didn't work, because no one's listening to them, because they voted. And they had a black president, Obama. Things didn't get better under him. And this is not going to be a political tirade, but what I'm saying is I'm just giving a couple examples of like the reason the protests happened is because it was the only action that they felt they could take. Like Martin Luther King has talked about this, and lots of people have talked about this. Right. So when you talk about like, Palestine, and it's like, well, the Palestinians are doing bad things too. It's kind of like saying like, if you trap someone in a cage and don't give them food for a week, then and they get a chance to like reach out and maybe punch you in the face. Like, can you blame them? Right? Like it's a last resort recourse kind of thing. Like Hamas and Palestine don't exist in a vacuum. It's not like they're this like happy citizenry of people that are just like hunky dory. Like, we have all the rights in the world. We can do whatever we want. Oh, but we're mad because other people are in charge. We're going to fire missiles. It's not like that. It's like, Israel controls every part of Palestine, from like not letting them have rights and citizenship to like just evicting them from their homes where they've lived for decades and stuff like that. Like they're really under an oppressive rule, really for the most part. So it's not contextually, it's not coming out of nowhere that like Palestinians are getting upset and then taking to violence. To the Hamas, it feels like there is no recourse. It's not like a violence erupting out of nowhere. It is an escalation based on like decades of like severe oppression and human rights violations and international and war crimes, which the Human Rights Watch and the United Nations and even Israeli humanitarian groups are literally calling like war crimes and human rights violations. Some going as far as to call it apartheid, which I won't because I don't understand what apartheid means. But like I'm not the only one with this opinion. So, right, like Sally in the chat saying it's apartheid. Like a lot of people are. So I got an argument with a friend this morning, but I don't understand apartheid enough. And he was like, well, it's totally different than South Africa. So like you, Brian, I don't know quite enough about all of it, but what I think people are missing is that the equivocation is a total fallacy. And it's like, you just can't make that connection that like, the uppity Palestinians are just, they're not happy that they don't have X and Y. When it's like, no, they're really kind of like suffering badly on a daily basis. It's crushing their pride. They have no agency over their land where they grew up and their whole families have been from. And it's very frustrating. So I'm pretty upset, I think. And the reason that I have some like emotional tie to this is because the US is like, giving Israel a lot of very powerful weapons that kill people. And like, that's objectively true. And everyone knows it. Biden just signed a thing that was like billions of dollars letting them buy like stuff from our military. And it's like, they had missiles that shot down Palestinian missiles.
Yeah, do you know
how hard, do you know how hard it is to shoot down a missile with another missile? This is like,
system.
This is like 23rd century technology. Like this is literally some of the most advanced military technology on the planet, like next to the US, Israel. So like, anyway, so to echo what John Oliver said, like, having the iron, what is it? Not the Iron Curtain, the
Iron Dome.
Let's just call it the Iron Curtain. So they have the Iron Curtain up there.
The Iron Dome. They have the Iron Dome.
I know. They have the Iron Dome. It's like, so
the Iron Curtain. Sky Curtain.
It's very unbalanced. And I think that some people will just say like, well, it's complicated. And I think that's a scapegoat. I think it's not that complicated. I think that some people feel very bad and very oppressed, like many African Americans here in the US do. And they are occasionally lashing out at a extremely powerful military force, just like when you were seeing cops tear gassing American citizens last summer. It's that, but on a larger scale. So imagine the National Guard rolling in and firing rubber bullets at a bunch of peaceful protesters in the US. Oh, wait, that happened. Like that's how I see Israel and Palestine. It's like Palestinians getting upset. There's some violence, of course. There was some violence here. Doesn't excuse what the people with extremely powerful weapons are doing to those who have no recourse or ability to defend themselves. So that's just what I want to say about it. And I really hope the U.S. gets its act together and starts to call Israel out for this.
Well, and part of the issue too is, and I agree with you to an extent with the it's complicated excuse. And I said that because I believe there is a lot going on there. But the bottom line is, in our society, if you start to look at one side or another, suddenly you're labeled as being, either anti-Semitic or you're against all Jewish people, or it's like any other cause where you can go, okay, listen, it's like, to bring back what you were talking about for the summer, we can talk about there being bad cops and the problem with policing. That doesn't mean we are throwing all cops under the bus. That doesn't mean we are anti-cop. That means, like anything else, you have to look at an issue, and if there are problems, you need to point out those problems. You're not throwing the baby away with the bathwater. You're just saying, hey, look, the system needs to be fixed. And right now, with Israel and Palestine, especially people here who don't have a strong connection to either country, it's very difficult to not get bombarded with the emotional and real issues coming from both sides. And your points were very well made. But it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I watched that John Oliver thing, and I agreed, it's like, you can have, and I know this is going to be a bad analogy, and don't at me. It's like David and Goliath,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about the outcome of David and Goliath. I'm talking about the size and the strength of David versus Goliath. Or pick a schoolyard where you've got the one big guy in a fight and the little guy in the fight. Well, the little guy's throwing punches, and the little guy may have even thrown a punch early, but the big guy the odds are on the big guy's favor all the time. So I think that's where it lies right now. That, thankfully they called for a ceasefire today, so hopefully things will slow down a little bit, because I don't even know how this latest round of violence started. It's, I don't know. And it's hard. It's also hard when we've been hearing about problems in the Middle East for forever. And this is a purely selfish thing. America has its own problems now. So we've been dealing with our own problems. And it's like, listen, we understand you guys are having a hard time. Things are bad. But we got to clean up our own house first. And so, and I'm sure that's how a lot of people feel. That doesn't mean you don't care about the people over there, both Palestinians and Israelis who are dying. You don't ever want to see those kind of things. You don't want to see buildings blown up with people inside them. You don't want to see news organizations targeted by missiles. But we're all so overloaded now, and this might be an excuse too. We're also overloaded now with what's been going on here for the last, let's take it back, let's go 5 years, whatever. That it's like, we'll come back to you. We'll talk. Let us settle this, and then we're gonna come and give you more attention.
Well, but some of the attention we are giving them is helping us not settle our own stuff. True. Like the billions of dollars we give them in military support. Why don't we spend that on our roads? Maybe something like that.
Listen, now you're talking about infrastructure. And what's infrastructure, Cody?
Did you see the report?
What is infrastructure?
Have you seen the reports on the bridges and the number of bridges in the U.S.? I don't remember. Did I just see that in a tweet or something? I don't even know where I saw it.
I love current events Cody, who came this week. Normally, current events Cody doesn't show up.
Yeah, I know, right? Wait, Sally, hold on. Israelis are killing women and children, taking away homes. Beeb is a horrible human being. Stop supporting him. Who's Beeb?
I don't know. I'll Google it.
I don't know who Beeb is, and we're not. I don't think we're.
I don't think we're supporting anybody. See, this is it.
Yeah.
Well, Beeb is a city in Arkansas. It's an elementary school in
Beeb,
Naperville.
Israel, Beeb Healthcare. I think everything I said was kind of like criticizing.
I think she might be thinking I'm supporting somebody. I'm not supporting anybody.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, no, and actually to your analogy about the we can say that not all cops are bad. I think that was really good analogy. Yeah. Last summer when we were like maybe didn't say you were Beeb is Netanyahu. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, she's saying for other people does not support him. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's yeah. He is a horrible human being. He's like, there's some big scandal where he was like spending all of American taxpayer money. Like we gave Israel a bunch of money, and then Netanyahu like spending it on like mansions and stuff. It's frustrating because we do have our own problems, Brian. And
we have a lot of problems, Cody.
So did I just see a tweet about the bridges? Because I haven't read much about it, but I've seen like a couple.
No, this has been coming out for the last few years. Bridges are crumbling all over. Right downtown, was it last summer, the summer before, where they had to, the bridge over Lakeshore Drive they had to fix because parts were falling down, and bridges everywhere. There was a bridge in the Twin Cities a couple years ago that just collapsed on I-95 going over the river. Bridges fell down. So yeah, it's all about infrastructure, but now we have to fight about infrastructure. What is actually infrastructure? Is it old school infrastructure where it's roads and bridges and railroads and things? Or can we evolve our definition of infrastructure to include, broadband internet and things like that? So that's, now we got to deal with that. The whole place, the whole country is going to hell in a handbasket. Now we got people who are going to be lying. Now people are going to be lying if they've been vaccinated, and there's going to be people who are worried that they're not vaccinated. I panicked yesterday because I realized Debbie's vaccination card is a nice hard piece of cardboard. It's nice, sturdy. Well, when I got my vaccinations, they gave us just like they had run off a bunch of cards. So it's on just a cheap piece of printer paper.
So laminate it.
Well, then they said, don't laminate it because if you have to get boosters, what are you going to do? They can't write on the laminated card. But if
Well,
I try to
Sharpie.
present this flimsy printer paper card, everybody's going to think that I forged it.
Foam core. Put it on foam core backing. You can buy a little square of foam core at Michael's for like 10 cents.
I don't have that kind of money. I'm not
Take
making.
some crazy glue, stick it on there. Boom.
You can't because it's got writing on the back.
Sally called out the thing I was thinking of. Memphis Bridge over the mighty Mississippi shut down.
That's a
the
horrible bridge. We drive over it all the time when we go to New Orleans. There's on 40 and on 55, and they're within 2 miles of each other crossing the Mississippi. And it is the worst bridge. Plus it's the worst traffic pattern. It's almost as bad as the Eisenhower here, where you're coming off 294 and 290, and the Eisenhower goes from all these lanes down to one lane. What do they call it? The Hillside Strangler, that area. Because it's right at Hillside. They used to call it that. Maybe they don't anymore because it's not politically correct. Because all these lanes come down into one lane in Hillside there. When you're on 55 going south, and you're coming into Memphis, and you're 55 comes down, and then it turns to the east, and then it turns to the south, right just south of downtown Memphis. All the lanes on this bridge, everybody has to go onto this one-lane exit ramp to keep going on 55, and the bridge is horrible. It's West Memphis. West Memphis, as you come from West Memphis, Arkansas, across the Mississippi River into Memphis. So it's the bridge that spans from West Memphis into Memphis. Cody, you know this about me. If I don't know something, I say it, but there's certain things I know.
And that bridge is one of them.
That bridge is one of them. Both bridges. The one on 42. It's awful. Horrible. Wow. That's on the north. That's on the north side of town as you're coming across from Mud Island out of Memphis and coming into West Memphis. But the weird thing is, both interstates will feed into the same exit. So there's like a truck stop and a McDonald's, and when you get off both, it's equidistant, both exits to either interstate. But then they all kind of merge in West Memphis. 55 and 40 cross over, and it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's weird that I have that much knowledge of an interchange in Tennessee.
Yet here we are.
Yeah. And I always know West Memphis because I remember watching the documentary on HBO about the West Memphis Three, who were accused of murdering 2 little boys, and then there was Satanism involved and all kinds of craziness. Yeah. Listen. Plus, I read The Firm, which takes place in Memphis. I spent some time in Memphis, worked there a number of times, ate a lot of barbecue there.
Sure.
Went to Memphis in May, which was just last weekend.
Oh, I might go to Memphis in August.
Really? Memphis is a good time.
Sweet podcast movement.
It is a fun time.
Yeah, that's where the annual.
Plus, there's a lot of history there. You can have a good time, but you go to the Hotel Lorraine and take the tour there, the Civil Rights Museum. You can go to the Gibson Factory. You go to it's fun. Plus, you can just listen to a lot of good blues music, eat some barbecue, stay out on Beale Street. You're walking in Memphis.
I'm down.
Yeah, man. Oh man. All right. How'd we get into that? Oh, because you talked about infrastructure.
Yeah, bridge is falling apart. Yeah, let's fix that. Yeah, the roads in my neck of the woods are pretty nice. I feel like every time I drive to the city, now that I'm a suburbanite, and every time I go into the city, I take 10 years off my car's life. And that's a lot of years, considering a car.
A lot of years.
It doesn't really last that, because
your car's already 40 years old.
Sure. Well, I don't even know what color it is, Brian. Who knows how old it is?
You barely know how many tires it has.
It's either a 2015, a 2005, or a 1994.
Okay. Well, that narrows it down. That's fine. Listen, a lot of people get all caught up in the details. Mm-hmm. These so-called car people.
Yeah.
They know all this. How many horsepower you got? I don't know. You step on the gas, it goes. It's pretty cool.
No idea. Huh. Yeah, that was a lot of current events for me. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. I'm used to the Cody who doesn't even watch the news.
No, occasionally someone catch my eye. Well, there's been more buzz about Israel stuff on Twitter. So I started to get curious. And then when my favorite podcast covered it, I was like, oh, okay. Then I found out then I did a quick Google search and it's like John Oliver. So I kind of went down a rabbit hole, but I do that sometimes. I read
nothing wrong with that.
Read a really good Wired article about basically how everyone kind of missed the way COVID spreads.
What do you mean?
It was really interesting. So basically, for a long time, the CDC and the WHO were like, like if it's a droplet that comes out as a projectile, it'll fall if it's within 6 feet. And that's why the 3 to 6 feet.
Oh, yeah, they thought it was like weighted down and it would just drop precipitously.
Yeah, because of a certain number of microns. So, but there's a Wired article that explained there were a couple physicists. So here's the interesting thing about science that I've learned from doing my podcast is that that when you have any one discipline that exists in a vacuum, it doesn't work very well. But when you get people across disciplines, it works really well, right? So like infectious disease people and epidemiologists and all these people, they should actually be working with physicists, which is not a medical science. It's just physics, because physicists understand how things move, right? That's their entire life. So it's really cool when they work together. And some physicists had noticed a couple were like, wait a minute, these equations don't make sense. And then we found some old papers that say that the flu can spread this way or other things spread this way. And then they're like, wait a minute, it doesn't add up. And the CDC and the WHO had this guideline about it was like 5 microns. If it's above 5 microns, it's too heavy and it'll fall. And no one could figure out where the 5 micron number came from. So all these research, so the WHO and the CDC, they weren't listening. They're like, no, it's 5 microns. It's 5 microns. And they're like, where did you get
the figure 5 microns?
Yeah. They're like, where did they get the number? And so literally half a dozen researchers are looking and they're digging through archives and they're like, we don't know where this came from. And finally a graduate student who was working, her major or her professor that she was working with, it was literally forensic research or something like that, where the job is to dig through research papers to find where citations come from, forensic citations or something, the most hyper specialized thing. And she had to read through papers from the 1950s to figure out where this came from. And it looked like a misinterpretation of another paper from the CDC that then is where the 5 microns thing came from. And everyone just started copying that. But there was one misreading of a paper that's where it came from. And so when they did all these new studies and had all this new evidence, then they were like, oh my God, that's actually different. And then the CDC and the WHO updated its guidelines without they didn't make an announcement or had a press conference. They literally just edited the page on their website, didn't even tell anybody. And they're like, oh yeah, I guess it could travel further. But the point is that that staying 6 feet apart and washing your hands really was largely ineffective compared to wearing masks. Right. And staying in larger ventilated areas, but we didn't know that, and it was because of this weird rabbit hole. But anyway, Wired has a really good article on it. I'll post it to the Facebook page later if I can find it.
Yes, please do.
So yeah, look, random rabbit holes, Brian. I've been spending time in rabbit holes. What rabbit holes have you gone down lately?
What rabbit holes have I gone down? Boy, I know I went down a couple, but I can't remember. I can't remember what they are. I went down a rabbit hole the other day on Sable, the old WWF wrestler, and why she left and what happened. I don't know how. I don't know why I went down a Sable rabbit hole, but it's because I've been watching these biographies,
right?
And so I've been watching these wrestling biographies, and she was on. They showed her for briefly, in the background of the Booker T one, and I was like, I wonder whatever happened to Sable. Because I remember getting the Playboy when she was in it. And, for a short amount of time, she was everywhere. Sable, hottest woman. Rena Mero was her name. Mm-hmm. She actually was married to a wrestler and then divorced him. And I didn't realize that she died with, or was it, who was the one? No, Miss Elizabeth. I went down a Miss Elizabeth wormhole too, and a Sable wormhole. And Miss Elizabeth died. Miss Elizabeth died of a drug overdose with Lex Luger, who now looks he's skinnier than you. Because she was with Macho Man, and then they weren't married, and then And it was weird watching Lex Luger trying to say that he kind of felt bad that she died in his house, but not really, or not really, but she was going to take the drugs anyway. He didn't force her, and blah blah blah. And so that was in the Macho Man one. And then
I just Google image search Lex Luger, and I'm freaking out.
Yeah, right.
The guy used to be bigger, like as big as my brother, probably.
He was bigger. He was crazy big, Lex Luger.
I mean,
crazy big. So I went down that weird rabbit hole trying to figure out what happened with Miss Elizabeth. And then, because they kind of glossed it over a little bit in the Macho Man documentary.
Mm-hmm.
So once I was done with that rabbit hole, then I went down the other rabbit hole with Sable, trying to figure out why she got fired in the first place. And then she came back to the WWE, and Vince McMahon, it was a whole big thing. And I was about 2 hours in to these rabbit holes, and I was like, all right, this is ridiculous. I don't care that much. But two, I'm reading like 15-year-old articles about what happened with Sable. And I'm like, all right, this is absolutely insane. And then I was like, well, all I really wanted to know if she still looked good naked. Well, I don't know anymore. That's not up to me. But I remember when she came out in Playboy, it was a big deal. So yeah, those two rabbit holes I've gone down recently, trying to figure out what's happening with divas that I don't even, I hadn't thought about forever. And had I not been watching all these documentaries, then I wouldn't have thought of them at all.
Well, Mike in the chat just said that Flat Earth is his rabbit hole.
Oh, God.
I think my rabbit hole might be douche canoe.
You take a douche canoe to a rabbit hole?
So I never actually have looked this up, and now I feel like it's appropriate. It's a lightweight craft, Brian. Did you know this?
Canoe?
The douche canoe.
Is there really such a thing as a douche canoe?
Urban Dictionary says so. So it is a lightweight craft used by douches to move around on the figurative conversational currents to spread their message of doucheness to new individuals who were blissfully unaware of their existence. It also has cup holders, which is the only redeeming quality of the douche canoe.
Is that right? I thought Mike had just come up with a clever turn of phrase. I didn't know this was in the vernacular.
Wow. Yeah, me neither.
The Urban Dictionary.
Cutting edge.
Yeah, that's what I've been going down. I have the Heartbreak Kid biography is recorded. Next week is the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So I can't remember who the final two are, but I'm all in on these documentaries.
Ric Flair?
I don't.
Did you see the Ric Flair 30 for 30?
I did not, and I've heard nothing but good things about it.
I heard it was phenomenal. Yeah, I haven't seen it. All right.
I got to watch that too. All right.
Next time we get high together, we'll watch.
Let's crack open a nice stout, watch a little Ric Flair, and toki. Is that what the kids say? Hey, here's good news, Cody. Broadway in Chicago has announced that the first pre-Broadway opening has been announced. Theater is coming back to Chicago. Paradise Square is going to run from November 2nd to December 5th at the Nederlander Theater. So Broadway Chicago coming back. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to get back in the theater. I've got a new monocle, some spats, and I'm ready to go.
Nice.
I'm ready to go get the Bowtie Theater reviews back up and running. Sally says podcasts are a new thing. Absolutely love 99% Invisible, The Moth, American History, and Reveal. Somebody called me the other day, Cody, a friend of mine. And
99% Invisible. Excellent podcast, by the way. But why did someone call you?
About a podcast. They said, well, you podcast. You know about podcasts. And I said, I don't really know about I podcast. Well, I take this and I post it as a podcast, but I'm not a podcaster. But she had an idea, which I thought was a pretty good idea for a podcast. I'm not going to share it, but her question again is the one that I still try to figure out. How do you get any sort of traction? Not money-making traction, just traction. How does there's 18 million, and I think that's a conservative estimate, 18 million podcasts. Everybody with a microphone has a podcast.
Yeah.
And how do you cut through the noise? I don't know. I don't know if we cut through the noise. Probably not.
No.
We just add to the noise.
Mhm.
We bring the funk. We bring the noise.
Yeah. No, you don't cut through it.
You don't cut through it. You're just there, and you hope somebody finds you. Spreads the word.
If you have a built-in audience already, like if you have a website that has 2 million visitors a month,
Oh, okay.
you could start a podcast and tell everyone on the website and on your mailing list that you have that.
Oh,
And if you've got, let's say, 3 million people a month visiting your website, you might convert 0.1% of them, somewhere around there. So it's not a lot.
no.
Yeah. You have to have like I'm serious. Like I'm dead serious.
Oh, I know you are. That's why I'm asking you, because that's what
So,
and I don't know if people don't know you're a science podcaster. You're
I
not
am.
just here spouting off social remedies and cracking wise. You are the host of one of the hosts, co-host and co-producer of Curiosity Daily podcast. Curiosity
executive
Daily.
producer.
Oh, you're executive. Okay. Well, listen, I'm sorry. Weird flex, but you're all right.
But okay. Yeah.
CuriosityDaily.com. That's where you can hear Cody executive produce the science podcast that he is executive producer of while he's not executive producing.
No, it's I don't know. I mean, I think people should podcast because they want a creative outlet. They want to have fun.
Yes.
And they have something
Well,
to
that's
say.
what this person said. They want a creative outlet. They had this idea. I said, I think it's a great idea. But they don't really have a following on, they haven't done this as something else. It's not like they'd be starting from scratch.
If it is,
and
a
they have
guest-
no illusion about making money. That was the other. They're like, I have no illusion about making money. Well, that's perfect, because there's like 5 guys making money.
Oh, less than that. If a podcast is interview based, and there's a lot of guests in the same industry, and they promote it to their followers, then you can gain traction.
Oh,
It is still unlikely, but let's say it was like you interviewed every like winemaker in Napa Valley. You get them all to share your little stuff. Maybe you'll get some wine drinkers getting your show, So, but yeah, no, otherwise it's pretty much impossible. It's an uphill. No, it's like trying to hit it big on YouTube. Come on, it's luck. It's dumb.
yeah,
luck.
it's luck, and it's just stupidity.
We should just do a show on Clubhouse. You want to do that?
I don't even know what that is.
Good. Don't worry about it.
Is that conservative deal?
No, that was, I don't even know. No, that got deleted
That's
or whatever.
Parlor.
Yeah, Parlor. Stupid.
Parlor and Frank Talk.
Frank Talk, that's a thing.
Wasn't that the one that the pillow guy did?
Is that a real thing? Is it
it's
still
a real
around?
thing.
I'm gonna see
I
if
don't
can
know.
download it.
I don't know.
Alright, here we go.
What's Clubhouse? Sounds like a place for douche canoes to dock.
Oh, God. I'll tell you about it next time we are really high.
All right, fantastic. You mean the first time I'm really high? Speaking of really high, that has nothing to do with it. Do you see that the airlines might start weighing people and announcing it at the gates to
Shut up.
Yep. The airlines might start weighing people because they need to adjust the standard passenger weight, because so many Americans are big fatty boombalatties. So they're saying, well, listen, we can't take off with all you heifers in the back. We got to figure it out. So the initiative was outlined in a recent FAA advisory. It strives to provide new data on average passenger weights, as the current numbers reportedly don't reflect today's sky-high obesity rates. What they're going to have to do soon is just take the seats out and make these like cattle planes, and just everybody just right up the walkway like you're going to the slaughterhouse. And then they wedge all our fat behinds in this plane. They go, all right, cross your fingers, because I don't know if we got enough power to lift this bad boy off the tarmac. You guys put down the sandwiches. We got to get out of here.
That's
so
insane.
the new mandates were reviewed by an airline industry publication, would require airlines to take surveys to establish standard average passenger weights for crew members, baggage, and passengers via random selection. Once they've chosen a traveler, an operator may, quote, determine the actual weight of passengers by having them step on a scale before boarding the aircraft. So they'll weigh your bag, and then they'll drop your big ass right onto the scale too. Sir, it says here you weigh 187 pounds. I'm guessing your left leg weighs more than 187 pounds. Why don't you flop down here, side of beef, and then we'll get you on the plane. And you can take right off. So yeah, that's coming. So let's see. They're urged to ask each if it's not an option to put them on a scale. They're urged to ask each passenger their weight while making sure to add 10 pounds to 10 pounds to account for clothing. There's even a contingency plan for when operators suspect flyers are miscalculating their heft. Crew members should, quote, make a reasonable estimate about the passenger's actual weight and add 10 pounds.
Wow.
What if I told them I was hollow? Do you think they'd go for that? Hey, I'm like an Easter bunny. I got nothing inside me. I'm just an empty shell of a man.
I mean, I shouldn't be allowed to find this hilarious because it's really not fair, but I kind of do. Because
I think it's hilarious, and I'm a guy who's I know I'm getting weighed. You know, they're gonna look at me and go, no, sorry.
And they can deny service?
Well, let's see. It's in order to travelers have the option of declining to participate in any passenger or bag weight survey. Yeah. In order to update the guidelines on standard passenger weight, airlines will have to up the weight of an average adult male and carry-on bag to 190 pounds in the summer and 195 pounds in the winter. That's a 20-pound increase from the current guidelines. Female passengers and carry-on bags will increase from 145 pounds to 179 pounds. Holy cow, ladies. I'm kidding. 179 pounds and 150 to 184 pounds in the winter.
Wait, so men can only be up to 185?
No, they're saying they have to up the weight. So right now the guidelines are 20 pounds less. Right now they guesstimate that in the winter a male is going to weigh 175 pounds. Under the new guidelines, it's going to be 195 pounds that they're estimating a man in his bags.
Dude, look at me. I'm gaunt. I'm not gaunt.
You are gaunt.
I am not
You're
fat,
sickly.
right? I'm not even remotely overweight, and I weigh 195 because I'm tall. This is very stupid and weird and annoying.
Well, you know, I don't know if you know this, Cody. Gas prices have skyrocketed.
Airlines
The fuel cost for airlines is out of control, and God forbid the airlines have to, make a little less profit. We don't want that. We want the airlines. We want the airlines profitable. We want the seats to get smaller and smaller, the people to get bigger and bigger. Now they're cracking down on unruly passengers again because people are starting to get back on planes and they're acting the fool. And so we cannot have that. So a lot of crackdowns. I have zero sympathy for the airlines. I quite frankly, I've enjoyed the last year and a half not flying.
Yeah.
I've been road tripping, baby.
Well, it's because the TSA makes flying miserable.
Everything's miserable. Going to the airport's miserable. Getting through baggage check is miserable.
Baggage.
Going through traffic, going through
lines,
security is miserable.
boarding.
Paying $87 for a bottle of water and some caramel corn is outlandish.
Yeah, it's like a Soldier Field. Soldier Field. I didn't realize how bad Soldier Field sucks. Like, it's the worst stadium. Have you heard this? You know that when they did renovations, they actually removed like 10,000 seats from the capacity?
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, no, so I didn't know anything about Soldier Field. I didn't realize that like it used to be kind of this like one stadium that was fine, and then they remodeled it, and now everyone hates the way it looks. It removed seats. It's really hard to get to. It has one of the smallest capacities in the entire NFL. Like, and it's not a dome, and it's in like the worst weather place you could be. Like, everything about it is awful. I feel it's like very dumb and stupid and funny to me. Like, I mean, I don't care about, like, I don't even watch football, right? So like, I didn't know this before, but somebody mentioned to me like something about Soldier Field. They were like, yeah, didn't they even like lose seats? Because I was saying something about like, here's why. Because I was talking about seeing Axl and Guns N' Roses at Wrigley, and I looked at the seating capacity, and I was like, 40,000. That's not right. Wrigley has a huge seating capacity. The play compared to Soldier Field, it looks like a gymnasium, right? Like I would have guessed like 12,000, right? And then they were like, well, it's not that much less than Soldier Field because Soldier Field like removed seating capacity. I'm like, what? So I look at the Wikipedia and it's like, oh yeah, no, it's like the worst stadium. Oh man. Poor Soldier Field. Poor Chicago. We can do better. Come on. Couldn't we? Why didn't we just let George Lucas build Star Wars Stadium? His dumbass museum could have been like a little hallway off the side of it. You could walk through a TIE fighter on the way to go see the Bears lose. Everybody wins, you know? I'm awesome.
I was with you with the museum. I liked the idea of the George Lucas Museum, and then it got weird.
I'm so awesome.
You are something. I'll give. All right, awesome's good. I guess we could go with awesome.
God, let's go, dude.
They had a big prom thing at Soldier Field the other night.
Ooh.
Yeah, proms are back. Everybody's so excited to have proms back. I found prom to be the most overrated night in the history of overrated nights.
Well, you weren't very overrated, if you know what I mean.
I don't know what that meant. Now, were you prom king? Is that what I remember?
I was prom king, right, Pikachu? Yes.
Oh God!
I only had one beer. I didn't even take an edible. I'm just.
Oh my God!
Back, dude. It's Tuesday. It's 400 degrees in my closet. Is it like 80 outside?
It's about 1,000 degrees in mine too. It was 76 today, but it was humid, and now it's we closed the windows because it was raining, and there's no air circulating in this in my office here,
dude.
And that's when I feel my face getting red, and I perhaps might pass out.
Yeah, I'm having like a heat stroke. I'm sorry. You started to say.
Prom at
Soldier Field.
Were you prom king? Were you a Pikachu?
King, and my date was
you were prom.
King.
I thought so. So yes, you're going to have a different outlook on prom than the rest of us.
Yeah.
You and your mean girl friends. I think it's the amount of money and the build up and the fact that last year everybody was weeping. Oh, kids aren't going to get their prom. It's the most important day of high school. Blah 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 blah. Awful. The pressure, first you got to do promposals. You got to have dates. Guys are wearing rented pants. Who's wearing rented pants?
I got to say about the promposal, a lot less pressure when you and our kids, Brian, because we didn't have to TikTok it,
If I had to prompose to somebody, I would have just been home, and I was going to say something graphic. That would have been horrifying. But let's just say my date would have been named Rosie. But wow. That's no. I always thought, to me, promposals fall under the same umbrella as gender reveals. They're just for people who really, really need attention, that don't have any need. Or any fulfillment in their life, and so they're trying to find it in the most public way possible. Oh man, everything's got to be public. If I got to get on a horse and ride to school and deliver a dozen donuts written in the shape of the Tiffany, will you go to prom with me? And I've got to be wearing a suit of armor and all this other stuff, and I got to have my boys, my squad blowing up fireworks. I shouldn't have to work that hard to get Tiffany to go to a dance with me. So we can go out to Chili's beforehand and have some baby backs, and then go and she'll wear some gown that she's overpaid for, that she's worried that some other girl in class is going to have the same color. And then it's, and we're all going to, we're going to rent a limo, and then the guy's going to rat us out and steal our booze. It's ridiculous.
Did you hear, by the way, that was why the Suez thing happened? Suez Canal thing?
Which part of
a gender reveal? That was a gender reveal.
Was it really a gender reveal?
Botched gender reveal. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you do a gender reveal, once your baby is born, the DCFS should come and snatch that baby, because you are an irresponsible idiot. If you're blowing things up to tell people, hey, look, I just showered everybody I know in pink dust because I'm having a girl, you're not responsible enough to have a child, and we got to stop this right now.
I think it's nice that people get to experience the pageantry of I went to a public school, and a lot of people there were a lot of people in my school that were not well off. But they got a chance to dress up and get dressed to the nines, and there's a big deal for them. And it's like,
Aren't you
nice.
Marie? Aren't you Marie Antoinette? Isn't it nice of you to allow the great unwashed to put on a borrowed suit and come out and hobnob with you? Isn't that lovely that they can pretend for one night that they could dare to reach the heights that you and your popular rich friends could reach?
I think everyone likes to feel fancy. It's more special than others, and I don't know. I have a soft spot for prom, but I was prom king, and I was on homecoming court in both high school and college, and I'm very popular.
Oh my
generally.
God!
I have great hair. I have great teeth. I have good feet. Everyone saw that earlier. That was gross.
How's your
and
crank?
I have a Pikachu.
You do have a Pikachu, so
yeah, for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why you have every week you have some other stuffed toy.
I don't know why.
Are you just stealing from your son? Is that the excuse? Oh, he just left them around. I don't know where they came from.
No, this one's mine.
Okay. Oh, you don't share Pikachu with the boy?
No, he'll have his own.
All right. What's age appropriate to get a kid a Pikachu?
Any age, but this one's mine because it's electric.
It's electric.
My son eats giant Legos, also known as Duplos.
Oh, is he teething?
Yeah, real bad. He eats
that is
everything.
the worst part of that is one of the worst parts of childhood.
It's sad. It's sad because
it's horribly sad. No,
you.
I know. No, I'm not saying it's sad for the parents. It's horrifying for the children. And it's one of the most painful things as a parent to watch because you're like, there's really nothing I can do unless you're back in the olden days, like when I was a child and we were starting to, this is when the parents would dip their finger in whiskey and rub it on the baby's gums. And I don't know if it stopped the pain or there were just a lot of really drunk babies. But that was the thing. And I don't know when I know we didn't do that for Molly. I proposed it, but it didn't pass muster. There was no, I didn't get the A-OK to go, yeah, all right, just whip open the bourbon. Open up, kid. Take a swig. Just a little bit of bourbon in their milk. Oh, man. Calms them right down. I don't know if retroactively DCFS can come and snatch my child, but she doesn't live here anyway. So.
Yeah, probably not. And to answer your question, no, I would start him with a Squirtle, as Mike said. So that's where you start.
Oh, is that right? What is Squirtle?
It's another Pokemon.
That was part of the problem with that Target thing, because I guess I had our old friend Michael Osaki on the radio show.
Oh, nice.
A couple weeks ago, and we were talking about during the pandemic, the sports market, the card values skyrocketed. That also happened with Pokemon cards because a vintage Charizard card, is it Charizard? The card sold for almost $500,000.
Oh my God. A foil.
So now you got these yahoos waiting outside a Target to mug people who are buying cards, hoping to hit the lottery again. So Target said, yeah, we'll just sell them online. You can't buy them in the store anymore.
Fundamental misunderstanding of the collector's market. A foiled Charizard would only sell for that much if it was first edition, which means it would have been out of print for years. You're not going to find that in a booster pack at Target.
Let me point out something that while you are an intelligent man, sometimes I think you forget there's a lot of really dumb people.
Right. Do you know what it means to get a collector's item, a collectible, graded?
Kind of, only from talking to Michael all those years, who is now, he's like the in-house appraiser for this big card company.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. What is your understanding of grading an item?
That you take it to this place or send it, and they look at the condition, they look at all the different, they have all these different quantitative and qualitative things that they have to hit when they look at these cards. And then they say, well, this one is top of the line. I don't know what the actual, and this one, it's worth something, but it's a little less because it, see that corner, there's like a millimeter where it's bent up a little bit. And so that, screws the pooch.
Okay. So that's more or less my understanding, but I guess there's another step. I don't know if this is involved in grading or if it's separate, but so on Hi-Ho, this social video app that we talked about, on Hi-Ho, some guy went on there and he was like, it was NFTs. Everybody was talking about
the
NFTs.
non-fungibles, sure.
Oh, the stupid crap. So he was like, hey, everybody's talking about these digital collectibles that aren't real. What's your most prized physical collectible? So I went in my guest room. I've got a box of old video game stuff. I have a sealed copy of the Nintendo 64 game, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. It was the sequel to Ocarina of Time, a little bit lesser known, not as many copies sold, but it's a Zelda game, so it's inherently very valuable because Nintendo collectors are insane.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, Nintendo it's like the Apple of video games. Like they just make the best stuff. So I got this game for Christmas one year in high school, and I just never played it because I had other games to play. And I was like, I'll get to it. Up college time, up adult time. Well, I'm not going to play this N64 game. So I just kind of hung on to it knowing it'd be worth something. Anyway, apparently the shrink wrap on items, the reason I bring this up is because I posted a video. I'm showing it. This guy's like, did you get it graded? And I was like, no, I should get it to a collector. What he said was, Tom, I will not take $10 for it.
$10.
He said that in an item like that that's shrink wrapped, what you need to do is get it graded. And what he said grading was they will put it in an additional kind of a shrink wrap, like a plastic box kind of thing, like some kind of additional seal to seal the original shrink. Because what can happen is just being exposed to air or anybody touching it. Yeah, the shrink wrap could just rip off. He's like, you didn't even need to pull it off. The shrink wrap could just collapse.
Right.
So I need to go get it graded because when I checked the last sold price, this game goes for $3,000 to $5,000.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, dead serious. So
you gotta get that taken care of.
I gotta get that sealed up before the shrink goes. So and it's funny because it jumped real fast. Like it was until like 2017, it was going for like $300, $400, $500, and then all of a sudden it skyrocketed. And just immediately went to like $4,000, and it's even like A- grades. Like it doesn't have to be perfect, but yeah, dude. So that's my one cool collectible, I guess.
Now, would you sell it or will you keep it?
I'd sell it. I don't care. Like I didn't keep it to have as a collector's item. I just kept it because I had it, and it was like my Bitcoin. When I bought Bitcoin, I'm like, I'll stick it around, and maybe it'll get more value, and maybe not, and I'll sell it if I need it. Still sell if I need it.
Did the pipeline company call you? You have expertise with hostageware or ransomware. Did anybody reach out to you for your expertise on that?
No, which is why they paid.
They did pay. They paid up, which is, you got to get the computers back in the pipeline rolling. But man, it's between that and them finding Joe Biden's Venmo within like 10 minutes. I'm like, this is there's no security anywhere. These hackers can get to everything.
Joe Biden has a Venmo.
Not anymore. He did. He used it to Venmo. He made some offhand comment about Venmoing some cash to his granddaughters. And within 10 minutes, I forget, I want to say Reddit, but it wasn't Reddit. It was a news agency did a quick dive and was able to find his network and everything on Venmo just from the basic security programs that are in, or lack of security that's in place. So by the next day, there was no more Joe Biden Venmo account. So his granddaughters are going to have to wait for their birthday card like everybody else. I wonder if your grandfather is the president if you get more than $5 on your birthday. No, you still think you get that $5?
Absolutely.
And you go, Grandma, I'm 48. Thank you. What do I do with
and inflation? Did you see that survey, the questionnaire of New York City mayoral candidates had to guess what the median price of a apartment was?
Oh, I saw that with the home in Brooklyn where they thought it was like $110,000.
Yeah.
For a home in Brooklyn. When it's like $950,000 for the average home in Brooklyn.
Andrew Yang nailed it. He gave the exact price.
Oh, Yang Gang. Very nice.
That's
he doesn't know how to buy a banana in a bodega, but the man knows real estate.
Well, to be fair, Banana in a Bodega, great film.
That's my next album, Banana in a Bodega. Yeah, it's a children's album. It's all about me buying bad produce at a corner market.
I'd watch it.
Would you?
No.
No. I don't think the kids would either.
Mm-mm.
Today I had to watch Little Engine That Could.
Is it Little Engine? I was very confused.
Oh no, engine.
I was
with an
like,
EN.
That is.
Oh, do you think I said engine?
Yes.
No.
That is what I thought.
No, that's wow. No, please rewind the tape. I need to enunciate more. What have we learned today that I should not mumble? Yes, little engine.
Like a choo-choo train engine.
Right, choo-choo.
Mhm.
I think I can. That story, you know what I mean. That one, yeah. So
Why?
It was part of we were learning about, I was teaching the children today, Cody, about themes in a story. And the theme is the message and the lesson that the author wants you to learn from the story. So we watched and listened to a read aloud of The Little Engine That Could.
Wow.
So, and the theme there, of course, is not to give up, to believe in yourself.
Sure.
So that's what I was teaching first graders about themes in literature.
Closed readings and literary analysis in kindergarten. Pretty advanced.
First grade. These kids are, they're not dorks. A couple of them are, but not all of them. Some of them are, Plus, I'm trying to keep some engaged on Zoom, some engaged in the room. It's a big puppet show. Big
How's that?
crazy. It's anybody who's been mouthing off over the last year and a half, the teachers have it easy and they don't want to work and they're so happy that the kids are on Zoom. One day, go to school for one day and try to do this. It is, and I'm not talking about me. I take me out of the equation. I'm talking about full-time, regular, real teachers. This has been a nightmare, and they have pivoted heroically to try to get things done. And man, it is like today was the biggest import because the school I'm at, it's hybrid. So there's some of the kids are there in the morning, and then everybody's virtual in the afternoon. But in the morning, some kids have opted to come into school, and some have opted to stay home. And most of the classes I've been in, it's been small. A small amount are in person, and then the majority are virtual. Not today. Today, the majority was in person, and then I think I only had 3 or 4 Zoomers, as we like to call them, Zoomers and roomers.
Right.
That was what the first grade teacher calls the kids in the room are roomers, and the ones on Zoom are Zoomers.
All right.
Yeah. So today I had a lot of roomers. Fun.
Did a lot of teachers quit when they got that huge stimulus check that's going to pay their rent for the next 3 years?
Listen, Cody, there's a lot of people who don't want to work in this country.
Dude, at my party, a guy found $20 on my back deck and he wrote an email. He took out his phone, wrote an email to his boss and said he's quitting his job.
Really?
Because
Sure.
why keep working?
Why? Yeah, that's right. You just gave him $20. That's all he needs.
Yeah.
He's gonna find money everywhere now.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to work for it. He's gonna find money. Money. No, but I did see a survey that says a lot of teachers will quit in the next couple of years. I think it was the next 2 years. So
Why?
Stress, low pay, all the usual.
The entire education system being like
entire educational system, having to teach for the test, all that stuff.
There's a lot of comprehensive, conclusive research showing that like students don't learn well in the morning. They don't cognitively function very well that early in the morning. We just do it because
that's how it's always been done. Because you got to get home and work the farm.
Got to drop them off on the way to work.
Right.
Got to keep the economy going.
Daycare. It's
keep
daycare,
the GDP
baby.
Up, Brian. Keep the GDP up so we can drop off our kids when everyone's uncomfortable and unable to process information.
Well, listen.
It's a good way to run things.
You got to get those kids in there.
Yes.
Wake up. Today, at one point, they were so drowsy. At one point,
Really?
we took a brain break, and I played. You'll learn about all this. I played a Go Noodle, which are things on YouTube that are meant to get the kids up and moving, and some are obnoxious with crazy, people making a fortune doing these Go Noodles. But some are animated. So we got up just to get them up and jumping around for 4 minutes so that they can, because one kid was falling asleep all day. He was falling asleep. Yes. Sleeping through most of first grade. And they're only there from 8:30 to 11:30. And we don't start now with hybrid. We start at 9. So from 9 to 11:15 is when they have actual, learning. And then in the afternoon, of course. But this kid, I had to keep going, hey, man, hey, wake up. And he was sitting right in front of me. So, how's that for my ego? Come on, man. I'm trying to make this stuff fascinating.
It's rough.
I showed you a picture of rhubarb, my friend. We got to, come on. But yeah, he was, I don't know. I don't know if this kid slept at all last night. He could have rolled into school. No nothing, no sleep, no breakfast. But they do get breakfast.
He was on IRC all night. Wow. It's 1996.
What's IRC?
Go. It's old. I can't even. But it's new. But it's, I don't know, Brian. I don't know.
Is it something dirty?
No.
Is it drugs?
It's like a chat room.
Oh my gosh. I don't think so.
Board.
I don't think this was he on an alt dot something room from back in the day, back in the late 90s, early 2000.
Dude, I looked Dave TV up on the the App Store, and I couldn't.
Who's Dave TV?
The thing with the My Pillow dude.
Well, that was Frank.
Frank TV. Yeah, I looked it up. It didn't.
Frank Talk or something.
No, so it got canceled, deleted. Is there a My Pillow app? Let's check that out.
No, I don't know any.
My
Frank Talk,
Pillow guy app. Just a paid ad for meditation and fitness app. Got nothing. Oh well.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know. Listen, there's a lot going on. We didn't even say why Craig wasn't here. Let's do that before we get out of here, because quite frankly, I'm about to pass out. I think it's about 118 degrees in here.
Yeah, dude, I'm about to get smoked out of my own.
And I gotta make water, Miss Daisy. But Craig moved it. Craig, I think he said he started moving into his house today.
Yeah, we think.
But it was pouring rain in Peoria.
Oh, was it?
So yes, so they didn't get everything in, but they got enough in. So I think so he was busy all day moving and then doing his show. But he will be back next week, and he claims that by next week he will have his new studio all set up in his house. So we'll see. I don't see that happening. That's pretty fast. It's a pretty fast turnaround.
I just remembered. I meant to say, I don't know if I can do next week.
Why? What's going on next week?
I got the week off from work. I'm going up to Madison for Minneapolis for long.
Well, maybe it'll just be Craig and I. Maybe it'll just be me popping in to say that my partners are, have horrible work ethic. Mike, good question. What about his chimney? It all got worked out. All the repairs have been paid for.
I think they figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's all. I think it's done because the house is a done deal. They bought it. So
I may be off next week. We'll text.
We're not small talky, just the facts.
No. I might be able to do it. The other thing is, I think my wife's got some family. Her family's going to come visit while I'm away.
So you're going by yourself?
Yeah. Oh, it's just me.
Oh, boys weekend in Madison.
We're
trying
to figure out the logistics. And I was like, well, and she was like, well, my parents haven't seen me in a while, so maybe they could come visit. And I was like, well, it's overdue anyway. It's, they get to see the kid.
You'll be gone. Win. Everybody wins.
Well, I'll be here for a while when they get here, so that'll be cool. So I'm excited to see them. But also at the same time, it just worked out really well that the timing and stuff. Because
man.
And I gotta carve out some time where my wife can just go gallivant somewhere in another state for like a week on her own.
And quite frankly, you need time for yourself as well.
We both
It's
need
a
it, but
two-way street. Yes.
yeah, but I've gone up to see my friends a few times since the baby was born, and I think she's overdue for her own little sojourn. So, that's okay. That's not technically true. She did go to see her family, but she brought the baby with. So I gotta get her tickets somewhere and just push her out the door and say, you go sit on a beach or something while I hang out with the baby.
Sure. Then call your mom, have her come down, take the baby. I know how it works. I know how that all works.
Yeah. So we'll see about next week, but either way,
we'll keep you posted.
Seeing the wonderful in-laws and traveling, so it'll be great.
Yeah. So, and that's fine. We all got things to do, but we thank you for watching and for listening and for downloading. Don't forget, you can hear Cody every day on the Curiosity Daily podcast. That is curiositydaily.com. You can hear Craig Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. on WMBD. It's 1470 WMBD.com. I will be back on TMJ next weekend. You can always check out the Brian Noonan Show page to find out everything that is happening with this. And you can download the podcast everywhere that podcasts are downloadable. It seems like Apple takes a while because I post them the next morning, and Apple is always behind by getting them up, but they do go up. So what do you know about that part? Anything?
No.
Nothing? All right. That's fine. Well, have a good week.
You too.
It's always a pleasure. I'll let you know if maybe this weekend, because it's going to be so nice. Maybe this is the weekend that I go down the pot rabbit hole.
Let's
I
go,
go chasing rabbits, me and Alice with Jefferson Starship.
Got to hang out soon too. So
I know. Listen, you're the one who's jetting off all over the place.
Well, you've had some stuff.
We all have stuff. We'll plan it out. But yes, I want to see the baby again. We have beers to drink. And I was going to tell you, you were talking about your electric lawnmower. This will take 2 seconds. I was driving to pick up. We decided Saturday night we were going to treat ourselves. We were going to get sushi. So I'm driving to get sushi, and I'm driving through a hoity-toity area in Oak Park. Very hoity and very toity. And I look out the window, and I see somebody has a lawn mowing like Roomba. There was nobody. There was no human being around. And this thing is going up and down, cutting their grass. I'm like, man, some people know how to live. Just let the robot cut the grass. Go on. And that's it. I was like, oh, that's one step above Cody's electric lawnmower.
You can get one of those at Lowe's for like $1,300.
Oh my God.
They're really expensive. And I can't imagine they do a great job.
No, it didn't look like it. It was just this big gray disc hovering over the grass. I was like, all right. That's on the same par of laziness as just going to Netflix and letting them pick whatever you're going to watch.
Oh God.
They have that new feature now where you just click and, you don't need to make any decisions. Just sit there, blob, and we'll play whatever we think you're going to like. And chances are you'll like it. And then we'll play some more, and then we'll completely take over your life.
Why
All
not?
right. On that happy note, I have really got to get to the bathroom. This is insanity, and I'm going to pass out.
Bed and
have a good week. We'll talk to everybody next week. Thanks again for watching.